Today I'm going to be talking about the psychology of becoming. Every human being is in a constant state of becoming, changing in the direction of our dominant thoughts and our dominant goals. Also, I want to talk about sensory acuity. Sensory acuity is being cognizant, being aware of how our behavior affects others. Awareness is curative. You can't change a behavior if you don't recognize it. Self-awareness is our capacity to take a look at ourselves, knowing who we are and where we're going, and knowing our values and our purpose. I want to also talk about selective perception. Selective perception is when the mind edits and refuses to allow any evidence contrary to what we already believe. Remember that definition, psychosclerosis, is a hardening of the attitude where you're inflexible and you're arrogant. And also homeostasis, which is the desire to keep things exactly the way they are. Change is good. Also, you want to act a part. If we feel in a certain way, we tend to act that way. Inner feelings become outward expressions. I want to talk about the law of concentration. The more we concentrate on it, the more we bring it into our lives. The law of belief. Whatever we believe with feeling becomes our reality. The law of expectancy. What we expect to happen is what usually happens. And also the law of attraction. Is that we are human magnets who attract into our lives the people and circumstances that harmonize with our dominant thought. Focus on something, we will experience imagination and visualization. Law of subconscious activity. Whatever the conscious mind believes and accepts, the subconscious goes to work to bring it into reality. It's not what we are that holds us back. It is what we think we are not. If you dwell on the reward, you move toward it. If you dwell on the penalty, you move toward that also. In psychology, there's something known as neural association. Neural associations control what we are willing to do or not do. Whatever we associate to a situation will determine our behavior. Neural associations drive us even when they don't make any sense. If you look at World War II, you look at the fight in the South Pacific, the Japanese had something which were known as kamikaze pilots. Kamikaze pilots were young and educated, motivated people. They were the best of the Japanese culture. They were also known as the divine wind. They swore an oath, flew their planes into the ships of their adversaries. And this would be seen as reckless or suicidal to most cultures. But if you can associate paradise with death, well, you'll look at death totally different. Similar to suicide bombers of today. This is what happens when you link things that don't relate. There are those who are in toxic and abusive relationships who have linked being beaten with love. In a typical toxic relationship, you'll find that the person who is being abused, it may start with an argument, become physical. And oftentimes there's a makeup period. And during the makeup period is when you hear, "I love you. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do it. It wasn't my fault. I wouldn't do it if I didn't love you. I wouldn't say it if I didn't care." There's the makeup set. Even with bruised eyes, lip, bruised rib. So you have abuse and you have love, and they're both being linked. What happens is the abuser, the victim, are in a codependent situation. There was a famous experiment called Pavlov's dogs. And in this experiment, a psychologist, and in this experiment, dogs were tested.
Pavlov had discovered a fundamental type of learning called classical conditioning. An original stimulus elicits an automatic unlearned response. Then a second, neutral stimulus that never elicits the unconditioned response by itself is introduced. If the neutral or signaling stimulus is presented alone, and a response occurs as if the original stimulus were still there, we say that conditioning has taken place. The arbitrary neutral stimulus becomes a conditioned stimulus. Pavlov's work, and the work of those who followed him, led to a remarkable conclusion. And that is, any stimulus an organism can perceive is capable of eliciting any reaction the organism is capable of making. This means that virtually any sound, sight, or smell can influence the way our muscles tense or relax, our moods fluctuate, or even the way our attitudes are formed. For instance, if I say, "relax," and then do this, you're going to be startled and upset. After 5 or 6 pairings of "relax," just saying the word "relax" is going to generate a negative response rather than its usual learned reaction.